janky physics, assets straight from the Unity store, bare bones multiplayer, 0 players online, and a mostly negative rating. This is gonna be good. My name is Graeldon, I'm on an impossible journey to review every Steam game in alphabetical order, and today we're playing 100 Kills Challenge and 100 Kills Challenge Origins. Let's begin. Like many, I have fond memories of playing games like Modern Warfare, Halo, and Counter-Strike with friends. Maybe it's the rose-tinted glasses, but looking back, it felt like simpler, better times. Block out an afternoon, grab some mates, some snacks, drinks, load up your game of choice, and enjoy the good times and banter as you watch Dave get the most deaths for the 3rd game in a row. So, could a game released in 2024 possibly hope to capture some of that nostalgic magic? Well, developer Kane Entertainment certainly thought they could. In fact, they were so confident that they basically released 2 versions of their game, one called 100 Kills Challenge and the other 100 Kills Challenge Origins. However, with a mostly negative rating and a peak player count of less than 50, the outlook is pretty bleak. But maybe there is something to be found beneath the surface here, something special waiting to be discovered. Yeah, no. Even so, a group from my community risked installing malware on their PCs to see if there was any fun to be found here. But first, let's take a look at playing solo, and then the differences between the 2 games, if there are any. To kick things off, we'll start with a look at the paid version of the game, 100 Kills Challenge. Considering the game is dead, I'm thankful that you are able to host your own server and that you can play against bots, because otherwise this game would be a ghost town. Upon starting the game, we're asked to give ourselves a name and then we're onto the main menu. Now, in all fairness, this is all perfectly serviceable with a few exceptions, but it does look incredibly generic. Like, if you asked an AI to create an early 2000s military-based first-person shooter, this is probably pretty close to the end result. In terms of options and customization, there's actually quite a bit, at least on the graphical front. They've even gone so far as to add descriptions to explain what each setting does, which is something we don't see too often here. The sound section is lackluster though, with only one slider for the master volume, no separate sliders for sound, music, and voices. The control section is also pretty rubbish, not showing the keybinds for any of the in-game controls, which also means that they aren't rebindable. At least we have sensitivity sliders and some toggles, so that's nice. Lastly, the gameplay section only has a single slider for field of view. Lovely. So, overall, it was a pretty mixed bag, but sad to say, we've peaked already for this video. Let's dive into an actual game to show you what I mean. We begin by setting up our lobby, which has some customization available, and I noticed that the max lobby size is 12 players. And I also noticed that other than choosing the game mode, of which there are only 2, Deathmatch and Team Deathmatch, you can't actually customize the rules themselves. No loadout rules, can't change the number of kills to win, or even adjust the duration of a round. For a game based entirely around multiplayer lobbies, this isn't a great start. Diving into the first actual round, we pick a team, despite this not being a team deathmatch round, and while I'm checking the new options menu that has appeared, the game begins and the bots are already slaughtering each other. Seems fair. My first life lasts approximately 13 seconds, and during this time I managed to kill no one because I'm fighting with a far too high mouth sensitivity. After a sequence of events that are pretty painful to watch, I finally get my first kill, and yeah, there it is, the signature Call of Duty XP drop, complete with yellow text and pop in, pop out animation. You can pay homage to something, take inspiration from something, or you can do what this game does and just outright copy. Even the diagonal crosshairs that appear when you hit a target look basically identical. Now, I'm not a big FPS player, so I'm willing to bet that those of you who are can point out even more similarities. While we let some of the footage of this round play out, let's discuss the actual gameplay. In general, movement and gunplay feels okay. Movement feels a bit too fast and the guns lack any kind of real punch or impact. There's just not much happening in the way of feedback. At the same time, there's actually too much feedback happening. The constant scrolling kill update in the top right, the rapid movement as enemies pass by the screen, and the non-stop callouts from your character to alert you that they've spotted an enemy for the 10th time in the last 30 seconds mean that you're constantly being bombarded with noise, but none of it is particularly helpful to the task of trying to shoot the guy in front of you. And as we saw earlier, there isn't a way to turn any of it off. It's about this time that I'm noticing that I'm dying. Like, a lot. Like, I know FPS games aren't my strength, but I'm only living for around 10 to 20 seconds at a time, and that's when it clicks. The bots are quite literally aimbots. Their reflexes are impossibly fast and their aim is impossibly precise, so it's the only logical answer. If this were an actual Call of Duty lobby, I would have instantly left at this point, because playing with aimbots is simply not fun. But I persist because I want to see what else this game can throw at me. Turns out, more BS, because there are no safety zones for respawning. This is a pretty double-edged sword though, as while you might respawn behind an unsuspecting enemy, so too might an enemy respawn behind you. The round ends and a winner is crowned, and surprise surprise, it's not me. Also, I personally find it frustrating that the end of round screen only shows the winner, not the final results for every player. If I've lost, I'd at least like to know how I compared to everyone else and how close or far I was from first place. You can check the scores during a round by pressing tab, but not once the round has ended. Speaking of which, we've not touched on the win conditions yet. As the name of the game implies, it's the first player to 100 kills. Or as the name of the game doesn't imply, it's also the player with the most kills after 10 minutes. But let's be honest, 100 kills or most kills in 10 minutes challenge doesn't quite have the same ring to it, so I can't really fault the devs there. At the end of the round, we, and by we I mean I, because I'm the only actual player, get to vote on which map to play next. There are 4 choices available, and the ruins look like the map seen in the trailer and the screenshots in the Steam store. It's also worth noting that some maps are preset for deathmatch or team deathmatch, so I'm not sure what the purpose of that setting was when creating the lobby earlier. As round 2 begins, I notice a kill streaks button, so let's take a peek. By default, there are 3 tiers of killstreak rewards, starting with a UAV which reveals enemies on the minimap. The airstrike unleashes hell above your enemies, which is particularly unhelpful as I'd prefer to unleash hell on my enemies. Lastly, you can summon a helicopter that flies to a specified location and unleashes a hail of bullets from above. Each of these rewards are assigned to a number on the keyboard, but which number is anybody's guess considering that they made the text so small it's practically unreadable. The middle one is definitely a 7, but the other 2 both look like 8s to me. Now, you can also change these killstreak rewards by clicking into the drop-down menu. Oh wait, no you can't, because although there is a menu, there aren't any alternatives to choose from. Well, got excited over nothing there. Well, at the very least then, let's try a different gun, and thankfully, yes, there are actually more to choose from. Heading into the loadout section, we can see that guns are split into different categories. For primary weapons, you have your choice of assault rifles, sniper rifles, shotguns, submachine guns, and light machine guns. Your only choice for a secondary weapon is a pistol, and then you have the usual melee and grenade options plus a utility slot. Weapon variety is extremely limited, but some additional weapons can be unlocked by leveling up. Leveling up requires XP from getting kills, and it is painfully slow to gain levels. After playing for a few hours, I only managed to level up twice, and you don't unlock things with every level. But what about all those weapons laying around on the ground from dead opponents? Yeah, don't even think about it. Not only can you not pick up dropped guns, you also can't pick up ammo, which means that once you're out of ammo, you'd better hope you're amazing with a melee weapon. But realistically, you're better off just letting someone kill you so that you can respawn with full ammo again. In terms of gunplay, the shotgun felt pretty decent to use, but wildly inaccurate unless you're aiming down the sights, which is to be expected. The sniper rifle was particularly disappointing though, as landing a shot doesn't result in a kill, unless you get a headshot. Speaking of things that aren't one-hit kills, neither is the knife. I have fond memories of running around the shipment map in Modern Warfare, racking up kill after kill with the knife, but here it feels like you poke someone with a spoon and then they turn around and shotgun blast you to the face. There also doesn't appear to be much thought put into the map layout, as there aren't many choke points or areas for cover. Some maps feature a couple of vantage points, but with only one way up or down, they are basically death traps. And again, limited ammo means you'll need to leave sooner or later if you want to be able to keep earning kills. One final thing that I noticed before moving on to the next game is that when you die, there is a countdown timer that shows how long it will take until you respawn. You can skip this countdown by pressing F to pay respects to your own corpse. Wonderful. So, leaving my corpse behind, complete with goofy ragdoll physics, let's move on to the second version of this game, Origins. No, not Dragon Age Origins. No, not Assassin's Creed Origins either. Or Rayman Origins. Or Fear 2, Project Origin. Actually, this joke is silly. Let's just watch a short montage of stupid ragdoll deaths instead. Alright, so what are we actually looking at here? Well, to my surprise, this is literally the same game as before, but a demo version. I cannot stress enough that they are literally the same game. You are automatically logged in using the same account name as the full game. Your XP progress carries over, and even your settings. This is all because it's using the same application no matter which version you run. The only differences are that you only have 2 maps to play on and less weapons to unlock. Not that you're ever going to earn enough XP to unlock them anyway. I can see what they're trying to do here, but having a demo version of your game as a separate title is just kind of weird. Considering that there isn't much else to discover here, there's only one thing left to do. Invite a bunch of community members to risk downloading malware for the sake of seeing if playing with real humans makes the game any fun. In case you're bored at this point, the short answer is no. But we gave it a damn good try and found some fun bugs and quirks along the way. I mean, just getting into the same lobby was a challenge to start with because the lobby wasn't visible to everyone. We eventually realized that lobbies are region restricted and the game doesn't show you anywhere which region you're currently in. You need to go into region selection, click a country, and just assume that it's worked. As for bugs, we found that standing in specific parts of the map, like here, caused the game to think that you're out of bounds, because your gun is part of your player model and it's poking out of the map. Speaking of out of bounds, player models also have collision, which means you can crouch jump to stack players on top of each other and then actually get fully out of bounds. To the devs' credit, there is floor and object collision, not that you'll get far before being killed by the warning timer. No void for us today. Some players were impacted with a movement bug, causing them to constantly move in one direction, even when not pressing any keys, and no, they didn't have a controller plugged in that was interfering. We never managed to figure out what caused that one, as it went away at random. A little bit of messing around with the loadout system led to us discovering a UI bug that allows you to equip weapons in slots they weren't intended for. Want to take 4 shotguns? Or, how about grenades in every slot? Sure, why not? The grenades were particularly funny because it allows you to wield them, which the player model isn't really programmed to do, so players holding grenades look like they're holding an invisible gun. But it also means that you can run out of ammo really easily, so make sure that at least one player has a normal weapon so that everyone can be reset when the inevitable happens. Speaking of death, the game does allow you to change teams while dead, allowing you to change sides in the middle of a team deathmatch round. Frustrated by losing? Here's one simple trick that solves all your problems. Because the Origins version is limited to 2 maps, this also means that the map selection at the end of the round will show duplicates of the same map, as it's still programmed to show 4 options. Should we play Array, the Ruins, or the Ruins? We also found something rather peculiar. Players using the full version of the game can see lobbies made by the free version players and vice versa. However, if a free player joins the lobby of a paid player and a map that isn't one of the 2 free ones comes up, they'll simply be stuck on the loading screen and not able to join. There's no error message or anything, it just doesn't move past the loading screen. I'm amazed that the 2 versions of the game are actually able to connect to each other at all, but then again, maybe I shouldn't be, considering how we know that they are basically the same game. Admittedly, we did have fun, but it wasn't through anything that the game did. In fact, we were simply having fun trying to see how readily we could pull apart the thin threads that were holding the game together. And it only took a couple of rounds for us to see how truly threadbare it was, and then it was time to part ways, leaving both versions of the game to return to the ghost towns that they were before we rudely intruded upon their barren lobbies. Let's face it, there's not exactly a shortage of quality multiplayer FPS games available at the moment. I think that Kane Entertainment has been quite clever in attempting to play on a sense of nostalgia when designing this game, but I could also be giving them far too much credit because a stripped back basic FPS just happens to align with how older games used to play. The reality is that there are a lot of modern changes to the formula that would vastly improve the foundation here, even something as basic as better lobby and matchmaking tools. I mean, in this game you can kick someone from a lobby and they can join back in straight away because there isn't a blacklist function. A good game that cashed in on nostalgia would make you appreciate all the little touches and references while you're playing, and remind you of good times spent with friends, family, or even strangers on the internet that slept with your mum. Sadly, playing 100 Kills Challenge just makes me think of all the games that I could be playing instead. It fails to have a polished and cohesive core gameplay loop, and that means that players don't have a reason to continue playing after the first round. That said, I think there is still some hope, or at least potential for this game to make a comeback, but it would require the dev putting in a lot of effort. Here's my recommendations. Firstly, scrap the paid version and make everything free. There's a good selection of maps already available, so work on adding more guns, balance them to ensure they feel good to use, and then rework the leveling system. The player should be able to level up after the first round, and earn an unlock to make them feel rewarded, even if they performed poorly. Every level should have an unlock, and these should be viewable so the player can see what rewards they can look forward to and work towards. Some of these rewards can and should be weapon skins, and this is also your opportunity for monetization. You might cop some flack for being unoriginal, but it works. Next, your matchmaking needs an overhaul, and a couple of new game modes would help add variety, such as Capture the Flag. You don't need much, just one or two will be enough. I'm aware that this could be interpreted as, to fix your game, make your game again, but better. And, well, that's not too far from the truth. What this game really is a foundation. If you bought a house and instead got a concrete slab, you'd be pretty disappointed, and that's what buying this game feels like. Only we knew from the pictures that it was less of a house and more of a shack. So to be fair, we kinda knew what we were getting into. It just needs a lot of renovations. It's kind of like the SpongeBob meme of drawing a perfect circle, but in reverse. They've made a circle, and now the next step is to draw the rest of the face. It's that simple, really. And that's why my final rating for 100 Kills Challenge and 100 Kills Challenge Origins, because they are basically the same game, is bringing only grenades to a gunfight, out of 10. There's a short blast of explosive fun, and then you're left wondering, now what? Thanks for watching. Welcome to the end of the video. As always, thank you to all the members supporting this channel and allowing me to continue this silly project, and a special thank you to our Knight of the Holy Grail, Freaky Feline. As there were no Larrys in this video, I'd also like to extend a thank you to all of the Noble Knights for their continued support. Azazel, Bull, Lampirides, Lexus LFA554, Neki Malevolent, The Crabs, and Zest. You're all wonderful people keeping this channel alive. If you'd like to sponsor a Larry in a future video or just help support the channel, please check out the links below. That's all for now, so if you made it this far, here's a sneak peek of the next game. And until next time, take care.